gotta get him a mic, and we gotta get him a stand. So let's give it up for Peter Torres.
All right, there you go, sir. All right, thank you, Michael. There you go. Thank you, Michael, for organizing this. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate all the effort of everyone who's come here today. But you know, I've realized that as Canadians, we have become very accustomed to not voice our opinions, to move back when there's a disagreement. We have been told by our well-intentioned liberal friends that accommodation, this is the principle that will lead us back to freedom and back to normal. Jim Caviezel, what he said was, those of us who would trade our freedoms for the soup kitchen of the welfare state have a utopian solution for us. That is freedom without victory. Their well-meaning policy of accommodation, so they tell us, will bring everything back to normal and we will have our freedoms back. But in fact, these are the exact same people who are telling us that our opinion is to be illegal and that they label us as racist, misogynist, or those people. There are two options. Our options are either to fight or we surrender. If we surrender, we will have peace, but we will never have our freedoms back. And the global elites, they have absolutely no intention of returning our freedoms back to us. And recent history has shown us of the empty promises of the globalists. Just get your jab, we'll be back to normal. Just wear your mask for 2 weeks, lock down your business, don't see your family for 2 weeks, don't worry, we'll be all back to normal in 2 weeks. It's always 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks. We know their empty promises now. And now we can't be naive to think that we are immune to those lies. In fact, we are all corruptible. And only by realizing that can we put up a defense against those lies. We are battling powers and principalities. This is true, which one of the previous speakers said. And all the people who have fallen for the lies are very, very susceptible. But so are the people who are following the truth. During the election campaign, I was privileged to be able to stand up and defend our charter, which many of our politicians and many of the masses of people were ignoring. Surrendering is not an option. I know that the greatness of a person's character is not in how much money they have or how much influence they yield or how much education they have. But the greatness of a person is in how much they are willing to sacrifice for another. And yet, there are those who prefer comfort over sacrifice. There are those who would prefer to cower in fear rather than stand up courageously and defend what is right and true. Many would choose to be damned rather than to be saved. The many cowards in public office are willing to give up my freedoms. They're willing to negotiate on my behalf and give up all of my freedoms in order that my oppressor may be appeased. The risk of appeasing the oppressors is far too great. My freedoms are not negotiable. They're not a commodity that's to be traded between the UN, the WHO, public health officials, and politicians. These so-called peacemakers, they don't speak for me. My free will is not a commodity, and it will not be traded. But we have seen over the past 2 years how people are willing to give up their freedoms for the veneer of safety. It's not up to government to make decisions for my health and for my safety. It's the job of the government to protect my rights and freedoms so that I can continue to make those decisions for myself. Thank you. The people opposing us are blinded by lies. Courage unshackles them, and it unshackles us. It gives us liberty to speak truth. The kind of freedom we all want is the freedom from sin, freedom from weakness, freedom from fear. This is the freedom that is worth dying for. We have all been born with a purpose, we know that. But it's moments like these that are coming to that culminating moment where there will be that choice. There will be an ultimatum where we need to choose between good and evil. And when we choose, through the weakening of our will, by continuing to acquiesce to evil, we can make the wrong choice. We have to be careful. But this time has afforded a great opportunity for us as well. Because out of the depths of the darkest hours in history are forged the greatest heroes. Gandhi never allowed the British to infiltrate the consciousness of the Indian people. John Paul II never negotiated with the communists. The heroes of World War II fought in the face of the darkest evil and tyranny, and the martyrs of history were not fools. Mel Gibson, who played William Wallace in the movie Braveheart, he gave us consolation and comfort with these words when we face these insurmountable odds. I see an army of my fellow countrymen here before me in defiance of tyranny, and you come here as free men, and you come here, and what are you going to do with that freedom? A man from the front answers, we will run and we will hide. I fight and you may die, run and you will live, at least a while. But dying in your bed many years from now, would you be willing to give up every moment from this day to that, to just have the one chance to tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they will never take our freedoms? I believe also that history will record with the greatest astonishment as to the stupidity of our politicians and the masses of people that went along with this charade. Our descendants will marvel at how the people who could have stopped this were too afraid to go into Walmart without their masks on, much less willing to die in battle. My fellow Canadians, I will not give up my country. And when I fight for my freedom, I am also fighting for yours. And when you defend your freedom, you are defending mine. Now, we cannot change the past, but if we continue to build on the principles upon which this great country was built, we can and we will change our future. John Paul II, in 1995, he remarked that freedom isn't doing whatever you want, but it's in having the opportunity to do what you ought. But society has perverted the idea of freedom to the point that in so many of our citizens, freedom, the idea of liberty, is weakly beating within their hearts. But with the lions who are willing to fight for freedom, we can ignite those hearts and we can turn those weakly beating hearts into hearts of courage that will fight for their nations and defend the truth. So now I want to end just with a call to action. I want to thank, first of all, Max, who's had an amazing platform, and I joined the party because of the platform. It was clear, and I never had to feel once that I had to toe the party line. I never had to worry, oh my gosh, is Max going to say something today that I have to change my position, or that he's going to change the platform today? I knew, I had the confidence to know that that would never happen. The PPC has a great leader, has the best leader I believe this country has ever seen. But we have candidates, but we also need volunteers. I would appeal to you as well. If you are able to, get involved with your local riding association. I know a lot of people, when they came to me during my campaign, I was flying by the seat of my pants. We didn't have a riding association. I wasn't able to get to everyone with the amount of effort that they deserved. If that happened to you, please give your riding association, the PPC Riding Association, or the candidates a second chance. And also I appeal to you also. It takes money to run these events, and it takes money to run a party. If you are able to give a donation, that would be greatly appreciated because it helps to do the work that we're doing. And if not the PPC, then who? Thank you. Thank you so much.
Peter. Thank you, Peter.